My wife said, "I need to chase my dreams. Mark, I can't keep living in your shadow." I looked at her, sitting across from me at our polished oak dining table, her eyes fixed on the crystal wine glass she'd insisted we buy for special occasions. Her words hit like a calculated jab, precise and sharp. I didn't respond right away. I just sat there, letting the silence stretch, the weight of her statement settling into the air. I'm 44 years old, a project manager for a construction firm, a man who thrives on schedules, budgets, and predictable outcomes. My life is built on stability, on making sure the foundation holds so the building doesn't crumble. For 16 years, I thought that was our deal. I was the bedrock, and Lisa, my wife of 38 years old, was the architect, sketching out her visions while I made sure the bills were paid and our two kids, Ethan and Sophie, had everything they needed. Lisa had always been the dreamer. When we met in college, she was studying marketing, full of ideas about launching her own brand someday. I loved that about her, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her big plans. Over the years, I supported her through a string of ventures. There was the boutique clothing store that folded after 2 years, draining our savings. Then the food blog she abandoned when it didn't get enough clicks. Most recently, she'd thrown herself into becoming a lifestyle consultant. Whatever that meant, I didn't mind. I paid the mortgage on our suburban Denver home, covered the kids' private school tuition, and managed the retirement plan. I saw it as a partnership. I built the structure. She added the color. But that night, as she sat there in her tailored blazer, her hair freshly highlighted, she told me the structure was suffocating her. "You're a good dad, Mark," she said, her voice softening, the way it always did when she was about to deliver something she thought I wouldn't like. "You're steady, reliable, but I need more. I need to feel like I'm building something for myself, not just tagging along in your life." She paused, twirling the stem of her wine glass. "I think we should try a separation, just for a while, to give me space to grow." I stared at the table, noticing a faint scratch from when Ethan, our 10-year-old, had dragged his toy truck across it. The words didn't sting as much as they clarified. For months, I'd noticed the signs, the little data points that didn't add up, the late-night phone calls she took in the guest room, the new wardrobe of designer dresses she claimed were for client meetings, the way she'd started mentioning her new business partner, Gavin, a slick-talking entrepreneur she'd met at a networking event. I'd ignored them, chalking it up to her latest passion. But now, the pattern was clear, like a blueprint snapping into focus. She wasn't just chasing a dream. She was chasing a life that didn't include me. "All right," I said, my voice calm, almost mechanical. "If that's what you want, I'm on board." Her eyes widened, like she'd expected me to argue, to beg her to stay. "Just like that?" she asked, her tone faltering. "You're not even going to ask why?" I leaned back in my chair, folding my arms. "You've told me why. You need space. I'm giving it to you." She blinked, thrown off, like a contractor handed a permit she didn't expect to get. "Okay," she said finally, standing up. "I'll start packing tomorrow." She walked upstairs, her heels clicking on the hardwood. I didn't follow. I sat there, listening to the faint creak of the floorboards above, the sound of our life being dismantled. For a moment, I felt the heat of anger, the urge to smash that overpriced wine glass against the wall. Then came the sadness, heavy and suffocating, as I thought about the woman I'd married, the one who'd laughed with me over burnt pancakes in our first apartment. Where had she gone? I let myself feel it, let the emotions roll through me like a storm. Then I pushed them aside. This wasn't a trial run. This was a demolition, and I wasn't going to be buried in the rubble. I pulled out my phone and started searching for a family law attorney. By midnight, I'd found Rachel, a highly rated lawyer with a reputation for being methodical and fierce. I left a voicemail, outlining the situation in the clipped, precise way I'd learned from years of managing construction projects. By 8 the next morning, she'd emailed me to schedule a consultation. I didn't sleep that night, but I wasn't tired either. My mind was already mapping out the critical path, the steps I needed to take to protect myself and the kids. Rachel's office was a sleek space downtown, all glass and steel, a stark contrast to the chaos of my thoughts. I laid out the situation. 16 years of marriage, 2 kids, a house, shared accounts, and a wife who'd just announced she wanted out. Rachel listened, her pen moving steadily across a legal pad. When I finished, she leaned forward, her voice steady. "Mark, a separation is a legal event with real consequences. Your priority is to protect your assets and your children. We need to act quickly and decisively." She outlined the steps, secure my finances, document everything, and prepare for the possibility of a contentious divorce. If she's serious about this, Rachel said, she's already thinking about her next move. You need to be 2 steps ahead. That afternoon, I started the process. First, I opened a new checking account in my name only. Our joint account had a balance of $25,000, mostly from my salary. I left $10,000 in the joint account as a buffer, transferring the rest to my new account. I emailed HR to redirect my paychecks to the new account, documenting the date and time of the transfer. Rachel had warned me that draining the joint account could be seen as financial abuse, so I played it safe, leaving enough for Lisa to cover immediate expenses. Next, I called our credit card company. I was the primary holder. Lisa was an authorized user. I explained the separation and had her card deactivated, taking responsibility for the $12,000 balance. It was a clean cut, like slicing through rebar. The trickiest part was the kids' health insurance. Ethan has asthma, and Sophie needs regular checkups for a minor heart condition. Their coverage was through my employer, and Lisa was on the plan too. I logged into the HR portal and updated my marital status to separated, triggering a qualifying life event. The system confirmed that Lisa's coverage would end on the last day of the month. In 12 days, a COBRA packet would be mailed to her, explaining how she could continue coverage at her own expense. I knew her anxiety medication cost over $500 a month without insurance. She'd feel that hit soon enough. Lisa came by the next day to pick up some clothes. She was all smiles, acting like this was a grand adventure. "Don't let the kids miss me too much," she said, tossing her hair. "I'm staying at a friend's place for now. It's temporary." I nodded, keeping my face neutral. "By the way," I said as she headed for the door, "I've started the legal process. You might want to get a lawyer." She laughed, waving me off. "Mark, always so serious. It's just a break. We'll figure it out." She didn't know the ground was already shifting beneath her. The first crack appeared 5 days later. I got a text from Lisa. "My card got declined at Nordstrom. What's going on? Can you fix it?" I replied, calm and direct, "There's no error. I canceled your card. We're separated, so our finances are separate now. You can use the joint account for now." Her response was a string of exclamation points, followed by, "How could you do this without telling me? I needed that dress for a client pitch." I didn't take the bait. "I told you I was starting the process." I wrote back, "This is part of it." The 3 dots of her typing appeared and vanished for a long time. She was probably checking the joint account, realizing the $10,000 was all she had left from our shared funds. The real earthquake hit a week later, on a Saturday morning. The doorbell rang at 7, jarring me awake. It was Lisa, flanked by her sister, Karen, who's never liked me. Karen stormed in, her voice sharp. "Mark, this is low. Even for you." Canceling her card? Trying to control her? Lisa stood behind her, arms crossed, her face a mix of anger and panic. "I'm not controlling anyone," I said, leaning against the kitchen counter. "I'm following legal advice. We're separated. That means separate finances." Lisa's voice cracked. "This isn't a game. Mark, I have a business to run. You can't just cut me off." I kept my tone even. "You wanted to chase your dreams. I'm giving you the space to do that. But I'm not funding it anymore." I paused, then dropped the final piece. "Also, I've updated my marital status with HR. Your health insurance ends at the end of the month. You'll get a COBRA packet soon. It'll explain how to keep coverage, but you'll need to budget for it." Lisa's face went pale. "My medication," she whispered. "It's over $500 a month without insurance." Karen jumped in, her voice rising. "You're punishing her for wanting to be herself. This is cruel." I didn't flinch. "It's not punishment. It's reality. Lisa chose this path. I'm just making sure the kids and I are protected." Lisa's eyes filled with tears, but they weren't sad. They were furious. "You're not the man I married," she spat. "The man I married wouldn't do this." I nodded, almost to myself. "You're right. The man you married would have kept paying, kept building, while you tore it all down. That man's gone." They left without another word, Karen muttering about lawyers as they went. I closed the door and felt a strange calm settle over me. The kids were at my parents' for the weekend, and the house was quiet. For the first time in years, I felt like I was in control. That control was tested 2 weeks later when I got a call from Rachel. "Lisa's lawyer sent a letter," she said. "It's aggressive. They're claiming you're financially abusing her by cutting off her access to funds and insurance. They want you to reinstate everything and pay her legal fees." I felt a flash of anger, But Rachel's voice was steady. This is posturing. They're trying to scare you into a bad deal. We need to counter with facts. She suggested hiring a private investigator to dig into Lisa's recent activities. It wasn't cheap $5,000 upfront, but I agreed. If Lisa was hiding something, I needed to know. The investigator, a former cop named Tom, delivered results in 4 days. His report was a gut punch. Lisa had been funneling money from our joint account into a separate one she'd opened 6 months ago. Over $15,000 had gone to business expenses, hotel stays, expensive dinners, and gifts for Gavin, her business partner. There were photos too. Lisa and Gavin at a rooftop bar, laughing over cocktails. Lisa slipping into his car late at night. A receipt for a $3,000 watch she'd bought him. The data points aligned into a clear picture. She wasn't just building a career. She was building a new life with him. On my dime. Rachel used the report to draft a response that was surgical in its precision. We refuted the abuse claims, documenting every step I'd taken as standard procedure for a legal separation. We included the investigator's findings, alleging Lisa had dissipated marital assets to fund her affair. We filed for discovery, demanding access to her secret account and Gavin's financial records. Rachel's final touch was a motion to impute income to Lisa, arguing she was capable of supporting herself through her new business. The message was clear: we weren't backing down. Lisa's reaction came fast. A week after our response, I got a call from a blocked number. It was Gavin, his voice shaky. "Mark, this is a misunderstanding. I'm just her business partner. I don't want trouble." I kept my tone cold. "Then you shouldn't have taken $15,000 of my money. You're a material witness now, Gavin. Cooperate, or explain it to a judge." He stammered something about Lisa saying we were already done, but I cut him off. "Tell it under oath," I said, and hung up. The next day, Lisa left a voicemail, her voice a mix of panic and rage. "You're ruining my life. Mark, this isn't fair." I didn't respond. Fairness wasn't the point. Accountability was. The kids were my anchor through it all. Ethan and Sophie didn't understand the details, but they felt the tension. I sat them down one evening, keeping it simple. "Mom and I are living apart for now," I said. "But you're my priority. Always." Sophie, 7 years old, climbed into my lap, asking if Mom would come back. I hugged her tight. "I don't know, kiddo, but we're going to be okay." Ethan just nodded, his eyes on the floor. I started taking them to therapy, a family counselor who helped them process the change. I didn't badmouth Lisa, but I didn't sugarcoat it either. They deserved honesty, even if it was painful. The divorce took 9 months, faster than most, thanks to Rachel's strategy. Lisa's case fell apart when Gavin folded. His lawyer offered a signed affidavit admitting the affair started a year before the separation, in exchange for dropping him from the lawsuit. With the infidelity proven and her spending exposed, Lisa's demands for spousal support crumbled. The judge awarded her 18 months of transitional alimony. Enough for a modest apartment, but not the lifestyle she'd imagined. The house was sold. The equity split evenly. My half covered a down payment on a smaller home in a quiet neighborhood, perfect for me and the kids. Lisa's half was reduced by the $15,000 she'd spent on Gavin, which the judge ordered repaid to me. Lisa moved into a one-bedroom apartment downtown. She works full-time as an office manager for a marketing firm, a far cry from the lifestyle consultant dream. Her social media, once full of curated photos, is now mostly silent. Gavin, heard, distanced himself the moment the legal pressure hit. His business took a hit when clients learned about the scandal. Karen still calls occasionally, leaving voicemails about how I've destroyed her sister. I don't respond. My focus is on Ethan and Sophie, on rebuilding a life that's steady but not stifling. I'm healing, slowly. Therapy has helped me see how I let myself become a doormat, ignoring the signs because I wanted to keep the peace. My new home is simple, with a backyard where the kids play soccer and a kitchen where I'm learning to cook badly. But we laugh about it. On weekends, we hike in the Rockies, something Lisa always called boring. Standing on a trail last week, watching Ethan and Sophie race ahead, I felt something I hadn't in years. Lightness. Not the thrill Lisa chased, but something deeper. Freedom. The foundation I'd built for her is gone, but the one I'm building for myself and the kids is stronger than ever.